So we've talked about inserting and replacing documents, as well as upserting documents, but of course, sometimes you need to remove something from the database. Let's talk about the tombstoning process. So as we've said, Couchbase Server is fast because everything happens in memory and then is subsequently written to disk, fundamentally different from old-style RDBMS architecture. So insertions and replacements happen on disk by continuously appending to the write log. Well, then how do you handle a removal? Well, that happens by appending to the write log a document known as a tombstone. So if I wanted to remove docID1, I would add a tombstone for docID1. Of course, this means our write log is continuously growing over time because every insertion, every replacement, every removal is continuously appending to this log. So they are periodically compacted, as you've also learned in the Essentials course. Duplicates with older timestamps are evicted, so we see here the older versions of docID1 and 2 are removed. And then also the tombstone and the documents that are marked for deletion by being older than that tombstone are also evicted. The compacted replacement write log is then assembled and put online. Now there is zero downtime in this process. It's all an administrative process of the server. So how do you delete a document from the bucket itself? Well, the bucket exposes, as you might expect at this point, a remove method. Remove, similar to the rest of the API, accepts a document or a specific document ID, and you can set related constraints. So this will remove a document, although you know now under the hood what it's actually doing is appending a tombstone for that document to the write log. And you can also set replication constraints and durability or persistence constraints, different terms for the same concept. Recall that it will be acknowledged as a removal as soon as it's marked in cache, unless you say that you want it to be acknowledged once it is written to disk. You can set a timeout for this particular operation, and it's going to return a copy of this document, likely a JSON document, of course, with the ID of the document that's been removed. In code, it might look like this. You take your local domain entity, convert it to a document, and just pass it to the remove method. You could choose to capture the resulting document and report it back to the user in some fashion as well. As you might expect also at this point, there is a delete operation available through Nickel, and so you could achieve a similar behavior through the query method of the bucket. So when would a remove throw an exception? Well, what if you tried to remove something that was never created or already removed? Well, you get a document does not exist exception, and you could report that back appropriately through your system. It may also time out, as we've seen with the others, and you can expect the additional exceptions that we've been talking about throughout to be reported as well. Now in our lab here, we're going to put it through our fingertips for reinforcement, how to remove or delete a document. In your code, in Couchbase repository, you'll go to the delete method of the repository, which in turn will use the remove method of the bucket. When you're done with that, come on back for the next lesson, and we're going to talk more about how you go about choosing document IDs and some capabilities of Couchbase Server available to assist with that process.